Yeah.
So what's this all about then, Culture?
Well, this former games urinalist, and that's being kind with the word, decided that she would come in and tell you all you're wrong about DEI consultants. The studios are already woke AF. That's basically the breakdown there. Saying specifically, hello, game consultant here. The idea that consultants are forcing diversity into games is ridiculous because 99% of the time, the devs have already decided they want their game to be woke and just want to help fine tuning how certain stories come across. Hope this helps. No, because you're lying. And again, it took a mafia tactic by a company like Sweet Baby Inc., which they admitted to in 2019 at a game developers conference that, basically they were going to threaten and approach every single person they could, specifically the marketing department, if you decided that you didn't want to go woke and or hire one of these consultancy firms. So she's a lying C word.com.
Well, she continued further as well, didn't she? Like,
She did. You can read it. It sounds better coming from an English person. Maybe she
it
sounds
does not, but fine.
maybe she sounds more respectable. We'll see.
The people peddling this conspiracy theory are fabricating rage bait content to grow their
Mm.
YouTube channels and social media followings. They do not understand how the industry actually works, nor do they care to learn because they're simply seeking engagement. The fact that this has been brought up again in reference to Dragon Age, the Veil Guard, is particularly laughable. Have the people throwing these forced DEI allegations around ever actually played a BioWare game? So, well, just to address the first part, to say that it's a conspiracy theory, I mean, that is nonsense because we've had statements from Sweet Baby Inc. which clarify exactly what they're looking to do. So that part's nonsense anyway. Let's just break it down. Is it content to grow a YouTube channel? Yeah, like 100%. Of course it is. Unequivocally, like yes, we all of us look for content to, bring to you guys. Like we like to provide content to an audience. Nothing wrong with that at all. Be weird if you were trying to make content to not service an audience. That would be retarded. I never understand how that's like a gotcha to these people. People are so stupid. Like, oh, you try and make money. Yeah, and people are happy watching it. What's the issue? It's a symbiotic relationship. Like it's absolutely fine, mutually beneficial. So this part as well, they do not understand how the industry actually works, nor do they care to learn. So that's a bit like me not being a Michelin star chef, but going to a restaurant and going, this tastes like shit. I don't have to be a Michelin star chef to recognize that something can be shit. It's exactly the same principle with games. I don't need to actually know how the video game industry works on a whole. I can see that things have changed. I can see that there are, narrative consultants that I don't think need to be there. They're a new addition to the industry as a whole. And the gaming industry has been on a downward curve ever since. They admit to what they're trying to do. I don't need to learn anything past that. Realistically, on the grand scheme of things, I'm not going to be a part of the gaming industry. It is shit though, and things need to change, and I can make a commentary on that. That's perfectly acceptable. You don't have to be a chef to know that a meal tastes like shit. It's exactly the same with this. I don't have to be a game developer to know that games suck, because they do suck at the moment.
Well, and what's funny is not even a week ago, Saber Interactive, which runs that Space Marine 2 game, right? They created that. Their main guy came out and basically said exactly the opposite of this, talking about how games actually are made. Somebody else did. Michael Narwhal, a few other people came out there and actually talked specifically about how games are made from the games industry, disputing all the baloney sausage that this chick's talking about. So, gaslighting engaged, kids.
Yeah. And as this article notes from that part play, says first off, DEI consultants are indeed trying to force diversity in the game. Sweet Baby Inc. used to make it very clear that is what they did. Their website used to state, quote, our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories whilst diversifying and enriching the video game industry. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, more inclusive for everyone. And they've also categorically come out and stated what they mean by that, i.e., yeah, we want more stories about minorities and whatever, etc., etc. During 2019 Game Developers Conference, Sweet Baby Inc. CEO Kim Belair also suggested that developers working on AAA studios terrorize their employers in order to hire consultants to push a work agenda. Quote: If you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many years, put this stuff up to the higher ups, and if they don't see the value of what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want. Amazing. Because they have to consider, I say that out loud as a joke, but it's actually very, very true. Because if you start to consider that people who are player and audience facing, and you have to deal with mitigating harm and with keeping the sentiment around their game and their project positive, there's nothing like a genuine, there's like a genuine value that you could impress upon them both ethically and financially. You could say this is important. Oh, this person sucks, man. So yeah, I mean, they've admitted this time and time again. This is just peak gaslighting. Like, we know what they do.
Yeah. And I guess that was my entire point, is that this is just another, another log on the burning trash fire that they just keep burning, not realizing that they're not adding weight to their arguments. If anything, they're just sealing them into the same, you're lying, you're gaslighting, and you're misrepresenting kind of a tomb that they've encapsulated themselves in. I can't imagine anybody thinking that this particular strategy would work when everybody can see, hear, observe, and point out all of the fallacies that she continues to spit out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's many instances of this. We can just see it. Look, at the end of the day, this is nonsense. And again, narrative consultants were a thing which never existed. Never existed. They weren't a thing. You didn't have them. They weren't a thing. It's a relatively new situation. And it's also just like the video game industry being very incestuous. So it's former people that worked at developers setting up their own contract companies so they can then come in and take more money from a game developer by essentially bullying them into having DEI shit in their video games. It's just nonsense. And now, what's happening? Well, video game industry's dying, so there you go.
Yeah, true story.
There you go. No, what'd you say to it? It's dead. AAA games are just falling on their ass.
Okay, that's actually the better way to say it. I'd say that the vast majority of AAA games are garbage, and they're made by studios that have been corrupted. And if you don't want to see this happen further, follow what Grum says, and you know what? It's 2 weeks to stop the spread. Or excuse me, not 2 weeks, 2 years to stop the spread. Stop opening your wallet to AAA game titles that insert bologna sausage for 2 years, and you'll win the war. They cannot survive on game releases that fail. They can't. They will have to change.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. I don't have much to say on this, to be honest. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I've said my piece, and yeah, I'm good. Hopefully y'all are too. Thanks for being here, guys. We love it.